Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th episode of the R Words podcast, a podcast where we don't only try to speak intellectual with a funny twist, we also play this game where each one of us has to generate a random word starting with the R. During conversation, each one of us has to try and implement this word 3 times in conversation without the other person noticing. The first person to actually achieve this 3 times in this episode will win the episode and get his point added to their tally. But there's a twist. Each one of us has a challenge flag, and during conversation, if you feel like you know the other person's word, you just throw the challenge flag and you check their word. If you're correct, the other person won't be able to win the episode. If you're not correct, the game just continues.
Sub 30 seconds,
Let's go.
I think.
Yeah, really?
That's
fucking good. It's a new record.
PB.
We're gonna actually, I think we should have like, starting from now, we're gonna put a timer, and then we're gonna see like what's the fastest intro that I can do. Because this intro, I added some words to it, which I added some words which made it like not really naturally flow. Like normally I have this like that I do.
Yeah, but you always say with the letter R, and then you start the next.
And also the
sentence,
pause for the challenge is always different. I think it's funny how we always start this episode by going over the intro that I did. Every episode it has gone this way. Like I would always say like after working this kind of shift, and after being a year older, it's always the same. It's structure.
Yeah, for context, I think this guy's trying to make it faster, no?
Yeah. So in one episode, I talked about. Did I actually talk about this? That in my, or did I do this off episode? Maybe. Well, I was talking about that. In my normal way of speaking in Dutch, I speak super fast. And then I try to do this as well in English.
No,
but
this
then
was off episode.
Yeah, right? And then I stumble over words sometimes, or I sound really foreign for some reason, right? So I try to speak my normal... I try to use my normal way of speaking, like my fast speaking in English as well. But then sometimes that comes with its cons, basically. Yeah.
And our working theory was that you're thinking of like what you're saying ahead of you actually speaking it.
Yeah,
right?
I see. This is how I wonder if it's actually, if my brain has to translate everything at the moment, or if I just adapt a whole new speaking in that language. You know what I mean? Like if you speak like a different language than your native tongue, does it like really quickly translate everything at the spot, or do you just like think and speak?
Are you saying, are you like a Google Translate, or does your brain completely just switch into
another zone? Yeah,
it's crazy interesting
topic. And I think maybe the people that would actually you would be
true.
But I also feel like people like that are like,
the thing is, I mainly use English.
That's what,
right. I can speak a couple of bits of a couple of languages, but in general, I would use English. So.
I think this would be a question for those people that their native language is not English, but they have like 2 different nationalities.
Yeah. Like if they have parents from 2 different countries, but they're actually brought up on, like one of my friends, he's also half Italian, half Irish. Yeah. And but the difference was that he would actually speak Italian at home, right? So he would actually switch between English and Italian, and he was really good at it. Like this guy would do it all the time.
I mean, also a friend of ours who we had a dinner with last night, she could probably answer this question really well. Yeah. Half French, half Turkish. So
French, Turkish, English.
Yeah, but that's not her nationality, English. She speaks English with us.
I was saying languages.
Yeah, I know. But then that's what I want to see. Like if it's like with French and Turkish, if she's really quickly like able to do the brain thing.
For me, whenever I have to do it, probably because I use English predominantly. Mm-hmm. But for me, when I have to switch, it takes a bit.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not just going to like if someone just says something to me in Italian, I'm not just going to be able to reply to them. And then someone says something to me in Irish, I'm not just going to be able to reply to them. And then if someone, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd have to be like,
code switching. Like, but also, this is maybe an interesting take as well. Do you have different kind of, I wouldn't say personalities, but also tone, I think?
I have a crazy study that we experiment that I read in college on this. So, should we generate the words first before we get into this or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's generate.
We'll put it on pause just for a second.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what I'm about to say can start like a 20-minute conversation. So.
There you go. We're edging you guys. So while Marco is generating his words, this is the moment where I'll tell you guys to follow our YouTube channel, like every video, hit the bell to get notified whenever we upload, and go to Spotify, like our podcast on Spotify, give it 5 stars after actually going through an entire episode. Then you can go to Instagram and follow us there, and TikTok as well, where we upload a lot of shorts. And this is also where I give a shout out to Marco for fucking going crazy on the shorts the past week. Marco had like a week off from school, so he had way too much time on his hands, and he like edited loads of shorts, and we actually got a lot of response on those, like viewer wise and likes wise. So maybe if anyone from those shorts that was navigated to our YouTube or Spotify is listening now, hello guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna generate my word.
Welcome.
I'm gonna try to do this quick.
But yeah, I just had 2 days where I just went down into the doldrums of the basement and pumped out like short.
Yeah.
You just kind of, I don't know, at least for me, I just kind of got in the zone of it. If anyone's interested in like a bit of an insight into it, yeah, you basically just watch the whole episode on whatever editing software you have. You find little snippets which you think are interesting, then you make a new sequence, and then you edit it with all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
Yep.
Did it work?
Yeah.
I was worried it was gonna ask you to sign in because it prompted.
It actually did, yeah.
But it's still, you still got to work.
Yeah, I had to do like say without.
Okay.
Right here. Wow. Yeah.
Good. Nice. So yeah, then we go back to the conversation. Yeah. So you've known before because I've sent you a couple memes about it as well, but in the context of moral dilemmas, right? So the classic one is the train, and the two alternatives, and there's 1 person and 5 people or something like this, and whether you flip the lever. Another one is a bridge, where there's a fat person on top of a bridge, and there's a train coming, but the train would go off like a cliff, and you can push the fat person off the bridge to stop the train from going over a cliff.
Why does it have to be a fat person?
I actually don't know if it was a fat person. Maybe I'm making that up. But
Okay.
I think it's the drawbridge dilemma or something like this. Anyway. So these are 2 examples of it. And basically the words they give for there's 2 different ways of responding, right? One of them is to act purely based on utility. And utility in this context means like benefit. Like no emotional anything, no social norms, no nothing, just benefit. And in this case, you would always sacrifice 1 person's life to save more people because it's utilitarian. So this is called utilitarian judgments.
Okay.
And then there's deontological judgments as well.
And that's where you use moral
and this
beliefs.
Is when like social norms and these signs and moral belief and all this stuff comes in.
Because then it goes to like on one trail track, it's your mother, and the other one it's your whatever,
something like this.
Cousin or
but
something.
Basically, there's 2 ways of responding. And they looked at how people respond in one language, and then they looked at how they responded in their second language. I think they did it with people from different countries. I know they did it in one Asian country with their native language and then English. And then I think there was also another country they did as well, which I can't really remember. But they found that in your second language, you're more likely to make utilitarian judgments. So what that means is that in your second language, you're more likely to make decisions, immoral decisions, just based on utility, based on what's the best outcome. In this case, saving multiple people's lives by making the act of sacrificing 1 other person's life, even if they didn't choose it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is pretty interesting because this highlights the idea that maybe we do have, you could say, okay, maybe we are different in our second language, but we know for a fact that we make moral decisions different in our second language. right?
But is that also with the fact that both languages, like the level of both languages is equal, or is the second language worse than the first language?
Oh, you mean like their proficiency in the
Yeah,
language?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Because I feel like if you're less proficient in a language, you'll less likely talk about like emotional, deep like stuff. Maybe that's why they go more for the.
Yeah, but it's the same setup, and as long as they understand the sentence, they understand what it means. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this doesn't, in my opinion, this doesn't affect. It could, but in my opinion, as long as you know what the situation is, it doesn't like you. This you would, I would assume that you would interpret this as you normally would. But it's interesting to see that you would react differently if it's in a second language than in your first language. There's potential ideas for this. Maybe it's because there's different norms in different languages. Maybe it's because we just don't pay attention to the norms in our second language because it's different from our first language or something like this, or we don't know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of relevant to what you're saying, right? Maybe we're different personalities or different in our second language. I know for a fact that people have told me before, also my girlfriend, that in her in English, right, her second language, she feels like she can't make jokes the same way that she can in Spanish.
100%. Yeah, right? I have that as well.
And a few people have told me this. And I don't know whether this is a proficiency thing or whether it's
no, it's
feeling
not
comfortable in it, or whether it's
not only a proficiency thing. It's also a thing that I mean, if I speak about Dutch, a lot of things in Dutch work better. Also, they're just like jokes, and also if I go even deeper, like dialects and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like it's really easy for me to make a joke in Dutch, and then I'm really trying hard in English to do the same.
Sometimes it doesn't translate, basically.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't translate, or also what sometimes happens is that like I make an English joke around like a group of also not English people, and they don't understand the joke because it's maybe too high of a level of joke. Not to fucking toot my own horn here, but yeah, that's basically like I think even in English I try to, because I like to do clever jokes in Dutch as well. And I like to do this in English as well, and sometimes that's a little too hard for people to understand, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I think one thing is understanding a language, and another thing is being able to understand a joke. Like if someone, especially it depends on the joke, right?
Yeah.
If it's a twist on words,
yeah,
this can be fucking rough, right? Because it adds a whole nother layer to trying to understand this. But
yeah, I'm trying to think if I have one of those. If I have like damn. If I have like a standard joke that I always do in English. There's this.
It could be like the like playing dumb one, right? Like the sarcastic, like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Actually, the one that goes over a lot of people heads is when you say, "Can you turn on the dishwasher?" And the dishwasher, how do... Jesus, bro, hold up.
Well, maybe probably we'll edit it out.
Yeah, wait. I fucking hate when I look. Okay, well, the doorbell at my apartment complex is so loud for no reason.
We'll probably tone it down for your benefit. But...
And also, we could already hear it from another apartment in here. So what people just do is just like they ring every fucking bell. Probably it's like a package from someone, and they just like ring every bell just so that they can get in.
This happens to me as well, and I ignore it.
Yeah.
Also because I actually don't know if my button to open the door actually works, to be honest.
Yeah. The dishwasher joke. Like, sure, I hardly ever know her. That one goes over a lot of people's head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but this is exactly what I was saying. It's like a play on words.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Wow, well, that's I once at our restaurant we have this steak called the Australian Black Angus round steak, and then we would always call it the Australian just to make it short, basically. And then I brought 2 tenderloin skewers to a table. And then I said, I'll be right back with the Australian. And I came to the table and I said, good eye, mate. Got the Australian over here.
No. And they just blanked you?
Yeah,
Or
they were like, thank you. They had no clue how to react.
But you said it in English.
I tried to do an Australian accent.
In English, right?
Yeah.
So do you know where they were from or not?
Probably either Germany, France, Belgium, whatever.
No.
Any one
Well,
of
then,
the...
yeah, I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Which, it's sad.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I think even outside of the joke realm, you could say that people would differ in their second language and how they act as well. Because I think I would assume that it also just naturally makes you more or less confident.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
If you're not proficient enough, yeah.
I think even just in general, right? Yeah. Like, or less outgoing or something like this. You know what
This
I mean?
happens a lot with like Spanish people that work at our place. Is that you'll if they speak like English, they're like they sound quite I don't know how to say it. Like it sounds very like elementary school English basically. And then as soon as they hear a little bit of Spanish, they're like this, like they fucking go off, and you see like a whole different personality of them that you've never seen in them during the work, basically.
Yeah, it's true. But I think this could be also attributed to the fact that it's a very different language, especially phonetically, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think there are quite a lot of similarities actually in the European, like, what do you say?
The
Is it
Germanic
Germanic
languages? Yeah, Germanic
Right.
languages. It's German, Dutch. I think isn't English like a
I was about to say.
Isn't it like
Saxon?
Saxon Germanic maybe like a. I know that
But
Dutch.
like, I feel like the like vocalizations, like the pronunciations of words and the emphasizing on different letters is very similar.
Yeah.
You know.
It's definitely different from the Latin kind of
That's
languages.
what I'm saying. So maybe
That's
also
maybe a reason.
it's harder to learn from that perspective as well.
But then also here in the Netherlands, they focus a lot on learning the language, like the English language. Like very soon, like at elementary school, you already learn English basically.
Yeah.
And also what helps us is that all our videos, films, whatever series are not dubbed.
You don't watch dubbed stuff? This
no,
would be an interesting...
Everything is subtitled.
This would be a really interesting study, actually.
There's
if
a
you
comedian.
Look at different countries.
Yeah,
that, like,
no, they do this in Germany, Spain, I think Italy as well, France. They literally have like a James Bond movie, and they'll have someone else do a voiceover in their language because they're just not as good as. Well, I don't know why they do this actually. I think they're more proud of their language maybe because people can still read in French, so they could have French subtitles.
Yeah, but I think there's also an element of, I don't know, when you're watching a movie, you're sitting down, relaxing, watching a movie. Some people don't want to be like, checking their dictionary.
And that's what I always do well, if I'm watching a movie or a show on Netflix, I turn off the subtitles because I want to train my brain to actually like hear and then process that kind of stuff. And also, if I look too much at the bottom text, basically,
you feel like you lose.
I'm missing out on things, and that's what I try to, because like when I go to a cinema, I'm forced to like sometimes do this, right? Because there is a subtitles there, I cannot turn it off because people around me are.
Yeah.
And then I'm always just like really focused on the screen, but it's because it's like moving in the bottom. It's so hard not to
just put some tape here.
Exactly.
You know?
I just need like sunglasses that literally cover the bottom part of my face.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm dealing with this recently because I'm watching the show Dark, and it's in German.
Oh.
Like so.
But that's the best way to learn a language, though.
Yeah.
But that's also
true. But
hard.
also I've never tried to learn German, so I feel like just throwing in the deep end is really difficult.
Yeah, true.
So I have English subtitles. I don't have dub. Also because I feel like dub takes away from the show as well. Authenticity. Yeah.
The authenticity. Yeah. No, but that's like one of the, like, those are two reasons why the Netherlands is always seen as like one of the better speaking English countries, that we don't dub everything. We get taught very early in elementary school. Also, a Dutch comedian made a joke about this once, that like you would watch. He was like, "What if Dutch would dub as well?" You had like Arnold Schwarzenegger in like the Terminator, and then he said some dumbass sentence in Dutch. That was really funny. But like, I really don't understand like how people in Germany or France or whatever, Spain, can look at like a famous actor and then hear them speak Spanish, for instance, and like, oh, I guess he's Spanish then.
But then I guess this comes down to what they're used to, right? If they're a kid and they've only known this actor speaking in dubs, then I guess this would be how they see them, right?
But this is also a reason why maybe other nationality people won't be that fast on jokes, is that because we watch the shows in English. So like Friends, The Office, all that kind of stuff. So we get the jokes in English already. So when the jokes are made in English, then we get it. But then maybe those people from other countries, they know the jokes, how they are translated in their language and how they're, because they change the script a little bit.
Then this supports the idea that there is a difference in how people say language.
Yeah.
And that, going back to what we were saying earlier, that maybe you can either translate everything as it comes and translate everything that you're saying before you say it, or switch into this different frame of mind, like the English setting, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Code
and
switching.
From what it sounds like, you're saying that maybe learning English from a very young age, emphasizing it, doing things like watching shows that are dubs, etc., might give way to being able to switch like mode or setting, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. I think I think there's also other things, because I think it's not just the phonetics though, but it's also like the warmness or temperature of the language. You get what I mean? Like, I've heard a lot from people from South America, especially my girlfriend, that they see English and in general Europe as like a cold language, right?
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. One exception to this might be Italian or something like this, right? But still, relatively, right? And I also feel like this is definitely reflected in the way that you say stuff and the way you structure sentences, right? So I feel like there's a lot of differences, basically. But so it might be more. You could say that it might be more difficult to learn not just the words, but also all the stuff that comes with it.
But I think maybe the language is, how do you say this? I think maybe the whole like climate of a country changes the language.
Interesting.
Because like if you look at France, for instance, French, you have parts in France where it's also cold. So you could say it's a cold language. But then you go to French Polynesia or French Guyana, I think, where they also speak French. Or Nigeria. No, not Nigeria.
Senegal.
Those languages. Then all of a sudden you hear a different kind of flow in the French language, which then it makes it warm.
It'd be interesting to see if this like is reflected in like.
So then instead of saying like that languages
say stuff differently
languages are cold or warm, it's basically where is the language spoken, kind of. Because if you have English, you said English is a cold language, but then Jamaican or like the Jamaican accent in English. Yeah, then all of a sudden it starts to sound warmish.
Also the stuff they say, I feel like, you could see this, no?
Right?
Like in expressions and the way they say stuff is more warm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's maybe the climate affects not only the people, but like the way you say stuff, the general climate of the language. Yeah, this also applies to
the Dutch. Like Dutch would also be a cold language, also very harsh. And then if you go to the like Curacao or Bonaire, all of a sudden it becomes like a very nice and warm. So I don't think the language by itself is cold or warm. It's the country where that language is spoken.
Can you see any form of link though? I'm really trying to think of how plausibly temperature could affect this kind of stuff.
All I know is that also I think like in warmer countries, people tend to be a bit like slower in life, right? They like to take things easy.
And I think makes sense in terms of, especially in Italy, because they nap, because you literally, in the hotter months, you can't go out during 12, 1, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Right? So some of this is also a product of the environment, you know, of the
So
climate.
then maybe that's also the reason why they speak slower, or with like, oh, I don't know, more like, because
speak slower?
I wouldn't say slower. It's just
like take life, like I know
more relaxed or something.
I know
like
what you mean. Yeah,
it's an interesting take though. I'm really interested in languages. I used to learn like random languages, as I already said. Like in some episodes ago, I was learning Danish for a long time. Then last 2 years ago, I think I started learning Greek. But that was mainly because I was going to a Greek island where one of my friends who was Greek told me that she once went there. She went to Rhodes, and she said, when I went there, all the prices are so high because it's like very touristy. And then she was complaining in Greek with her friends, and then the owner came outside. She was like, "Oh, you guys are Greek? Oh, you guys get a 50% discount." So she told me, if you learn Greek, you'll get a 50% discount, and if you know what triggers a Dutch white man, that's discount. So I fully went into Greek mode.
It's funny as fuck.
But it's such a hard language. It's a really interesting language because for some reason, if I hear it, it sounds a bit Spanish, bit by itself.
I mean, it's an old language.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a lot of languages come from it probably, or take little bits from it.
Yeah, it sounds Spanish, but then also it sounds something like super by itself, basically. Like a lot of languages you can see like Italian, Spanish kind of flow into each other, and then you also have a little bit of French here and there. Dutch and German have like a little flow in there, but Greek I cannot really pinpoint it somewhere because they also use
maybe it's just more spread out, so it's not like like for example the Dutch German or the Spanish Italian. Maybe it's more just like a lot of, you know what I mean. But
also they use like sorts of sounds way more than we would never use in English or in Dutch, like the X. That one is, we don't use it that much, but they use it quite a lot. So every time I hear Greek people, or like if I feel like I hear Greek, I always now listen very closely to like certain words, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're Greek. And it's weird because in the beginning, if someone told me like this is a language, which language is it, I would say like I have fucking no clue.
Like
but all of a sudden,
if someone speaks it,
if someone were to speak Greek in front of me, I would have not known that it was Greek.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now I can like pinpoint out if people are Greek or not.
This exact same thing happened to me with
Russian,
Brazilian, and Spanish. I would have said before I started working in hospitality back in Ireland, I wouldn't have been able to accurately distinguish between Brazilian and Spanish. Since working, 100%, because there was a lot of people from Brazil in my job, and also people from Latin America, and yeah, the way they pronounce stuff and like the ends of words and stuff, and also just the general like tone of the language.
But Portuguese is like such a weird language to me. It makes no sense for it to sound like that, because you would think it sounds way more Spanish, but to me it sounds way more Eastern European. Really, yeah.
Interesting.
There's like the sh sounds that they keep doing.
Yeah, this is what exactly. Yeah,
it's so like every time I hear one of our friends talk, I literally think that he's like fucking Croatian or something, or like no, not even Croatian.
Yeah,
Croatian is a thing by itself. No, I think even more East.
Damn. But then also because even between Portugal and Brazil, it's also very different. Like,
yeah, that difference I could not pinpoint. I have no clue. No. I have no clue. I wouldn't be able to.
I think maybe it's difficult though, because for me, the people from Brazil were mostly girls, So it's also a different cadence. That's the word I was looking for. Right?
Yeah.
It's also a different cadence. So maybe this is why. Because the guy from work who's from Portugal is a guy.
Who's a guy?
Right. So it's maybe I can't compare it well because of this.
And then also what I think is very interesting is that, and this is super naive of me to think this, that I never knew that other countries also have dialects.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's probably because like at the part where we live in right now is like it's so rich in dialects. Like we have a thing where we say like every 5 minutes you hear like a different dialect, and then on the east side of our province it's more like French-ish, Belgian-ish, like Flemish, and then on the side where I used to live, where I originally come from, it's more German influence. So that's why there's so much difference in dialects. And then also thinking about the Netherlands, most people just above the rivers speak just like a general like Dutch, but then you also have here and there some differences. But because we had so many different dialects, I never thought that other languages, because also for me that we're just like one language, would also speak like different dialects.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And once you get into that whole like the realm of like all those dialects and countries and languages, it's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the amount of languages in the world, and then you factor in the amount of dialects, then that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Because even in Ireland, there's different like also accents as well, right? Because in Ireland, there's different accents for English in different places, but also different accents for Irish in different places.
Yeah, and I would have never guessed. Well, I know a lot some accents in the UK, like Birmingham, Scouse, and that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's so weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I think about America, I can see the different accents, but for some reason I cannot do that for like France and Italy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to.
You couldn't visualize it for those countries?
No. And then also a theory that I had is about countries is that the South in every country is the same, I feel like. Because if I think about the South here is always warmer. The people are way nicer. They're super humble.
Unbiased.
No, but this is a thing in the Netherlands, that the people from the north are all talk. They just talk, and they are super direct, and they always have to be the loudest. And people like to think that they're the Americans of Europe. And then here in the South, we're more like, or we like to make our actions do the talking. Basically, we'll show you that we're this good, or we'll be more on the background and more humble and like just more caring for everyone else, less direct, I would say. But in Maastricht, they're still super direct. But then if I think about America, for instance, the South is also super relaxed and like I mean, you wouldn't guess, but Texas, they're really friendly there. And just in general, just like because it's warmer there, I don't know. I feel like this applies to almost every country, that the South is always nicer.
I feel like nicer is...
Well, nicer.
It's
I wouldn't say
difficult for
I wouldn't say nicer. It's just like every South in every country.
You think you can draw parallels between the South in every country and the North in every country?
Because the North in the Netherlands, it's more like farmer people and more like very Norse people.
I mean...
I feel like that's the same in Italy.
I can kind of see this in Italy and also in Ireland, but so maybe you're onto something actually.
And Spain as well, because in Spain, the South, it's like Cordoba, Malaga, those places. The fucking pronunciation, by the way.
I know the same with France is true. The whole North-South thing, I think this can be applied to France. I don't know enough about Spain.
Spain, I know like the South is...
I don't know people from North and South of Spain, basically.
The South is...
I only know people from
Andalusia? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and that's I went there. It's like super nice and also warm, obviously, but that's fucking Spain. And then the north, it's like I think it's the Basque area.
Yeah, I know people from here. I don't think I know many people from the south, so I think I can't like compare well.
Yeah, okay. This is maybe an interesting question for all of you listening right now. If you're a different kind of nationality than Dutch, Irish, or Italian, whatever.
Western usual ones.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know if this rule applies to your country. Like the South kind of resembles the chill people and more like warm-ish, and the north are more like farmer kind of people and more Norse.
You mean farmer or formal?
Farmer.
Oh,
Farmer.
I thought you meant formal. Because formal I can see.
Really?
Yeah.
Also the
100%.
farmer thing. For the Netherlands it applies to.
Really?
Yeah.
In Ireland, no. There's
No?
farmers everywhere.
Yeah, okay. Gotta make the potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. Also, apparently, guess which country the okay. Well, now you're
Ireland?
gonna know. Yeah.
No fucking way,
Ireland is the US's biggest. That's good.
Enemy.
No.
On potato level.
Is the biggest yeah, okay, no. Yeah. The USA gets most of its mozzarella from Ireland.
That's
It's so funny, no?
Bro, they'll do anything but go to the source.
Yeah.
Like, why the
facts,
fuck would you go
exactly.
to Italy, right?
Yeah.
That's
And it's not even
crazy.
because there is actually, and some people in Ireland brought over some buffalo from Italy, started making proper buffalo mozzarella there. It's not even this. It's like the low moisture shit that they have in America. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is that Jules from Crispy Pizza actually gets his mozzarella from Ireland.
Well, if he makes it fresh with buffalo milk, then no.
Okay, then if he gets it store bought, it's
Yeah.
probably from
If
Ireland.
it's fresh in the bag, if it's store bought, it's likely from Ireland. Crazy, no?
Damn. We gotta research this.
Yeah.
This feels
Who
like
would have thought? When I saw this, I was like, "Fuck off!" There's no way. But apparently, yeah.
that's interesting. America by itself is such an interesting country to talk about. It's like I feel like but that's also our problem because we fucking went all over America, right? Like the
Yeah.
Europeans. I feel like it has like some sort of like identity crisis.
At
Because-
the moment, yeah.
No, just yeah,
100%.
also in a moment, but also
in
just like in general.
Yeah, I mean,
Because-
it's the classic question, like, what culture?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Because yeah, but that's why I said it's our problem because like European countries used to rule all parts of
Speak for yourself, buddy.
the Irish were there for sure.
Yeah.
In Boston probably. Go Celtics. Go Irish. Did you know they have let me not try to butcher this. There's a college in I think it's Pennsylvania, and I think it's more like Boston region, Massachusetts maybe. Their chant is "Go Irish." Have you heard of this before?
No.
No. Wait, I have to look this up. Entertain the people.
You already know it's from some 1% DNA test or something like this as well, right?
For sure. Oh wow, I don't have.
There's
Never
no
mind.
Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi in the building. Never mind. Okay, there is a college where and it's a big college as well, for sports, and they say like "Go Irish," and I think it's either Temple University. Does Temple ring a bell to you?
I mean, I know there's a lot of schools in Ireland called like Mount Temple and stuff like this is an example of a school. So maybe. But
It's either or Penn State, Pennsylvania State University.
I don't know.
Go
But
Irish.
you know a lot more about America than I do.
Yeah, true. But it's really funny to me, like
But
the
I
whole
mean-
America situation.
Irish in America would have been like back in the slave days, there would have been landowners and then slaves, normally from African descent, and then in the middle would have been the Irish people. Right?
The middleman.
Basically, the people who were making them work in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
They were still seen as lower than the landowners,
Mm.
but yeah. So yeah, there would have been Irish people in America, but also I think this is where, because I think in general, at least for a lot of years, America was like what's it called? Like when something's looked up to, but I can't think of the right word.
Praised ish.
Yeah, but also like revered. I mean, I can use revered, but like worshipped or something like this.
Yeah, worshipped. Yeah, worshipped.
Like it's looked up to and put
Yeah.
on a pedestal,
Yeah.
especially in Ireland, because there was this classic. There's also a movie on it called Brooklyn, but there was this classic thing where small country, a small town in west of Ireland or somewhere in Ireland, and then there's a long culture of people farming and working on the farms and people staying local, and then there's the big America across the sea, and then the little Johnny or whatever would go to school, become good, and then go to America and never come back. You get what I mean?
But that's the whole American dream, right?
Yeah. And I feel like this is crumbling now.
Of course. I think that's what I've been saying for quite some years now. The American dream has turned into an American nightmare.
Yeah, a lot
because
of people say this,
literally,
actually.
like, I mean, when I was young, I always said, like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to move to America once I figure everything out, I guess. And I've said that for the longest time. And then I was so close
You
to
were
saying,
there
like,
as well.
I was there studying. And then I knew that I was going to be like East Side or maybe towards Michigan. That's what I wanted to go to. And then at one point, this was 4 years ago, I was like, maybe I'll go to Canada because then it's still some sort of America, but then better rules and stuff like that. And then I would go to like Toronto, so it's like close to like Michigan, so I could still go to America from time to time. But I totally got rid of that entire plan just after seeing all the shit that's going on there.
Yeah.
Like healthcare, education, politician stuff.
But it's very interesting because it's almost like a bit of an experiment, you know? Because as you said, it's like a mix of so many cultures. There's not like a lot of really ancient history there. It's like or at least it's not that we know of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like even if you look at food, for example, right? Like
what the food culture.
Yeah, right. Like every country normally has like a food that it's known for, like a style of cooking. You know, you have this French, like classic, like Italian, like rustic cooking, and then you go to America, and then like it feels like it's the classic like influences from other countries.
Yeah, but I think like I can
America,
easily debunk this.
In America, the most popular food would be either, I don't know, Italian-esque food. You could
hamburgers from Germany.
You could definitely make an argument
from Germany
that Italian food in America is different from Italian food in Italy, and therefore it's separate. I'd accept this, right? Because Italian American also, in my opinion, is different from Italian, right?
Yeah.
Even the people, they're just different cultures, different stuff, right?
What are you talking about?
Right? Like, so, I mean, you could say this, but yeah, I don't know. It's...
Well, I can easily, first of all...
It's the same with England. England has a lot of, like, different countries. Like, English food. Now the most popular English food is tikka masala, which is from a Pakistani guy.
Yeah.
So.
The thing is, the first thing I would say is, like, I think the best food thing in America that is kind of American is Tex-Mex food. Which is still, it's like Mexican food.
Mexican food.
But then Texas version.
But this is my point. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, but this is my...
Because they're taking other countries, sorry.
Yeah, this is my second take. America was founded way later than Europe, right? So then how are you going to invent the wheel while people have already fucking invented a plane in Europe, right? That's the whole thing. Like we already invented all the food in Europe. There's not much you can do with the food. Well, good things. We can do a lot of bad things. We saw that in America. And then also all the Europeans went to America and did their colonizing shit. And then obviously they brought their products because that's what they're used to there. And then that's what happened. So I think it's not really, like history-wise, it's not really America's fault that they don't have a culture.
No, not at all. No.
But it's their fault that they still hold on to their culture as if they are... fully Irish, fully Italian, fully whatever.
I mean, like, yeah.
And the ignorance is their fault. That they're so ignorant to like not accepting that they don't have a culture, don't have a food culture, whatever, and that they think they're still the best country. Also, this doesn't apply to everyone. I have a lot of American friends who actually, I wouldn't say hate the country, but they definitely are not that ignorant. I mean, they know that Europe is better.
It takes something for anyone to realize that there are flaws with your country that you grew up in, you know?
Yeah.
And this can be difficult, obviously. But I mean, this is the same for every country. And yeah, like you said, if it came about later, right? Then you could say, okay, like with the wheel example.
Yeah.
And you could say they did a great job of changing and adapting and like yeah, like inventing new things from things that have already been, like with the Italian American food, like with
A meatball sub.
even like American Chinese food or something like this, right?
Yes.
Or like Tex-Mex or something
Tex-Mex
like this,
is
right? Like they've
really
taken other food and they've put their twist on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you mean about the food thing.
But then what I think America has to do is not they should not be calling it Italian food, but they should, as they did with Tex-Mex, they made it Tex-Mex. They made it known that it's like not Mexican food, but it's our version of Mexican food. They have to do this to Italian food as well.
Maybe this is interesting though, because you know there's a lot of countries. I'm gonna use the example of Turkey and Greece here, where they both come up with stuff.
And they claim
they
it's theirs.
they claim it's theirs, and they debate who made it
Hummus.
first, right? Even if they might be a fact or whatever, right?
Tzatziki, right?
Tzatziki.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you're saying that maybe they should, instead of like doing the you're saying that like they should say that it's American food.
Yeah.
basically.
So then, like, if you have
and then they could be
Tex-Mex,
like, no, we made it first, bro.
that would be the most American thing to do.
Yeah, but I mean, people do this all the time, not just in the Turkey-Greece example. In loads of countries, they seem to prefer the idea that they made it than someone else made it, right? And normally, I normally attributed it to a big misunderstanding, right? I normally attribute it to the fact that they've both been eating this food for so long that the idea that someone else came up with it is so alien to them. You know?
Yeah.
Like, let's just say that your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, etc., have been handing down this recipe for some meatballs for centuries.
Meatball sub.
And then some random guy comes along and tells you, nah, mate, that's not yours, that's ours. Yeah, of course you're going to be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know?
So then, is spaghetti originally Italian?
I don't know. I don't know the history.
Have you heard of this before? That people think it's
like
actually
noodles from China?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, the ancient China is a older civilization, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, right.
It's the same way that I've been watching loads of cooking videos and cooking channels recently, and then some of them they give like a random food and the people have to guess what country the food's from. And they did one with this flatbread with I can't remember, with something, and then it was from a Nordic country. And then this was like a while ago, and the idea was that they used to eat this like a long time ago, like back in like Viking times. And then the idea is that just this came to Europe through the Vikings and it evolved into pizza.
Oh,
right?
okay.
This is very contentious, obviously.
Damn,
right?
But
this was just an idea, and I heard it. I was like, damn, that would be nuts, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, no one in Italy would accept this. Right?
Of course, no.
But it's interesting, because I feel like in Italy they really hold on to like I feel like this is also different, that for different countries, food has a varying degree of importance in their culture. Right?
Yeah.
Some countries naturally see food more as nutrition, food, fuel, right? Some countries see it as a massive part of their culture. Yeah. Like, for example, Italy.
Yeah.
And France, I would say as well. This like classic rustic cooking that they do with the sauces and all this stuff,
Yeah.
But speaking of this whole French cooking thing, I've been watching this YouTube channel, and there's these two guys in a fine dining restaurant in London called Fallow. I'll shout it out because I think they actually do really good stuff.
There you go. A shout out to our 15 subscribers.
But yeah, they got to pay us, right?
Yeah. I'll send you an invoice
for the free advertising. But no, they literally did this. They did this thing with the Michelin star thing. And they took this French rustic cooking, and they made the different Michelin dishes from each decade, right? Like the best or the most iconic Michelin dish from each decade. And this is very interesting to me because, you have this thing in France, Italy, probably a few countries as well. This is just my own bias that I'm aware of, that food is a massive part of their culture, right? And I don't know if this is because it's the preparation of the food, or because the time that goes into it, or because the fact that they enjoy eating the food more, or maybe because more things in their everyday life are organized around eating food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why this evolved.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I feel like there's a difference in maybe some culture. This could also, you could use this with the hot and cold countries, right?
Damn.
The hot countries, I would, with a bit of thought, there's probably a few outliers or a few examples where this isn't the case, are more food based, right? And the cold countries are more nutrition view on food, and I think this actually checks out and would make sense, right? If you're in a cold country and your ancestors have been struggling to survive in a harsher climate with less available food and less easy to grow stuff,
yeah, maybe
I could see them as focusing on they need food and they need to find food. Why? To survive.
I think this one is more of a reach than the language.
You think?
I think so, yeah, because
For me,
we called France by itself partly cold. So then if it's like that big on cuisine, then
yeah, you're
maybe,
doing a within country
yeah,
comparison, and I was doing a between country comparison. Anyone who does psychology will get the gag here, but yeah, in between countries, I'm talking about in this hot cold thing, not the within. Because yeah, obviously this is the same with, there's one thing I hate. A lot of the time countries are grouped into Western and Eastern, right? And
yeah,
Western Europe would be in Western cultures.
yeah.
But if you look in Western Europe, you can see for yourself that there's a massive variation in culture, right?
Yeah.
It's so difficult to put things in a box like we so often do in Western stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I love how we started this episode with no clue what we're going to talk about, and then all of a sudden it goes to languages, food, and culture, and
I had
just
some
like
ideas
rattling
as
this
well.
entire fucking episode.
I had
myself.
ideas as well before I came here. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this and this, and I didn't even have to bring them up.
Do you have a topic that you want to like put out there that maybe we're going to do in the next episode?
I need to refine it more.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe not refine it more, but I'll bring it up next episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I think
you,
maybe we can cut it now.
Yeah, right. It's quite nice.
Did you say your word?
I said my word once.
Bro, I said it 3 times again.
Really?
Yeah.
But I have such
You
a
gotta
bad
step up.
word. I had such a bad
What
word.
is it?
Raveling.
Rustic.
You're oh.
It's funny because I said this
For Italian cuisine.
Yeah, but also a couple of weeks ago, I got this as my test word.
Oh, really?
And I said it to you. I was like, damn, bro, I got rustic. Imagine having to use that. And now I actually got rustic. But yeah. What did you get?
Raveling.
Reveling.
The only way I could use it is unravel, but then that doesn't count, right?
Okay.
I was gonna use it as unravel, and then in the end I was gonna ask you if that was all right, but no, it wouldn't.
I would have given it to you.
Really?
Yeah, I think we can make a rule for that now. You can also do, because we've said that you can also do different grammatical
But I
versions
think
of it, like
unraveling
different tenses.
is
I think
like
you can also do
I think
opposites.
it's a reach. It's too hard.
From now on, I think we can do opposites.
I think so. I don't like that used to unravel.
No?
No, I don't know. I had no clue how to
We
use
got a word purist over here.
it because then it would be a you words podcast,
True.
and it's
true,
an
true.
R words podcast.
Very true. But
Yeah.
if you put a hyphen between 2 words, what letter does the word start with?
Okay. Do we have anything that we would like to people? Well, I think the comment about the what do I say? Like the north and the south in your
Mhm.
country. So if you guys
Yeah,
are from a
let us know.
specific country that is not like the Netherlands, Ireland, English, whatever, Italian, then a country.
English.
Just like no, I was just saying like if you're. We already know about
Yeah,
England,
if you're
basically.
not from one of these boring Western countries, let us
Yeah,
know.
basically. Let us know if like the north and the south kind of have the same kind of thing that we were describing in the beginning of the episode. And then make sure to follow YouTube, click the bell to get notified whenever we upload every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Like all videos on TikTok, Instagram, follow us there as well. And then on Spotify, like our podcast and rate it 5 stars. Nothing less.
Let us know some feedback. in the comments if you can, because we want to know if it's interesting, if it's boring, what you like more, what you don't like more, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna try our best with uploading a lot of shorts again, so hopefully we get a lot of attention
back in the
there.
basement.
Exactly. Yeah, right now it's pretty hard because I'm having exam week, so it's horrible. So
it'll be fine.
Yeah, anyways guys, we see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.